Alright, as you can see, I'm back at my home here in Hanoi, Vietnam after a 6-month renovation. Good to be back home, still getting settled, still have a lot to organize. I'll do like a full tour soon for anyone interested in that kind of stuff. But I'm back from Wetzlar, Germany, visiting the home of Leica. It was an incredible trip. After digesting it for about a week, had some thoughts about Leica as a company, had some thoughts about my experience in the past working with a different major camera company brand, which I'll talk about soon. I think I have a unique perspective on that. So I'm going to compare the two. I'm going to address the question of, can a camera company have a soul? I'll give you my thoughts on that. Anyway, let me park this little action camera down, get my proper setup. For anyone interested, this is kind of how I film my stuff here. I have a little, this is how I'm going to film it, using natural light as much as possible, trying to stay true to my photography. Anyway, let's get into it and let's talk photography. So this isn't an episode to bash other camera companies or even to promote Leica. I just wanted to share my perspective because I feel like it's unique. I worked with Canon for 5 years. I did the TV show for 3 months out of the year. I promoted for several months out of the year. I went to all sorts of giant events, judged all sorts of competition, appeared at all sorts of different Canon things. I even did a commercial with Canon that was like terrible about the Canon 70 Mark II. If I can find any B-roll of that, I'll put it up, but it's quite embarrassing. And when the show was over, we just sort of parted ways. Nothing dramatic, no major breakup, no fight. We were just different. Who they were as a company, the soul of their company, the core of their company, didn't really align with my values as a photographer, and what I looked for in the relationship, I think, was quite different than what they looked for in our relationship. So we just sort of organically parted ways. And so let me start with my experience working with them and what I didn't like. Now, I did like the opportunity that I got to host a TV show. I appreciate that as a relatively unknown personality or TV personality. I think I was decently known as a photographer at the time, but I had no experience on TV. So I do appreciate that experience. And as far as the equipment goes, using their equipment for many years on all my assignments, all my New York Times assignments, and even commercial work over the years all around the world, I have no problems with them. I have no problems with the equipment. But what I didn't like was kind of the culture and community around Canon, or sort of the lack thereof. I mean, I went to these different events. I hosted their Canon Photo Marathon, which is a giant event, but they weren't really interested, or at least I felt, or at least this region, I didn't feel like they were interested in teaching visual storytelling, teaching the art of photography, and supporting photographers or promoting photographers, amateurs or pros, promoting their work and getting it out there and talking about the history of photographers, celebrating other photographers' work. And I just never felt that. I never felt that at my talks. I never felt that at the workshops. I never felt that at events. I never felt it even when they released a camera. Like, you would see the images that they would use coinciding with the release of a new lens or a new camera, and it was always just very cliche, like a macro shot or a butterfly shot or a landscape shot. And nothing against that kind of photography, but even the images they chose for that type of photography was always typically very cliche. There's fantastic landscape photography out there and macro photography out there, but it was always very cliche. It was never pushing the envelope. There was never any depth to the images. At least that's how I felt. And then personally, a relationship with them for 5 years, no one ever even asked me about my projects, past, future, or present. And I never had conversations with them about like what they're trying to do in their community of photographers, what kind of values they're trying to put out there, how they're trying to celebrate photographers and their work, amateurs or pros, what they're doing to get that type of work out there and to sort of empower and inspire photographers to do new work. I just never felt that. It wasn't for a lack of not trying. I tried to engage them with different workshop series. I tried to talk to them about my work and some project ideas and collaborations, and nothing ever came to fruition. And for anyone that knows me, I'm not aggressive, but I'm also persistent as well. So I would ask and I would follow up, but nothing ever happened. So anyway, that was my experience. I guess you could say I never really vibed with them. I never really saw what they were trying to build from an educational standpoint or a message standpoint about photography. It was never like really about photography. It was about selling cameras. And I understand all camera companies have that, especially their major competitors, to be fair to Canon. And Leica to an extent too. Leica like wants to sell cameras, of course, but Hey guys, just want to take a quick moment to remind you to like and subscribe. And if you like me, you can consider joining the channel for $4.99 a month. It's not just to support the channel, it's not just to support me. I do give you exclusive content, early release content, and a whole bunch of other perks as well. Again, click the join button. It's only $4.99 a month. Thank you guys. Now back to the episode. There was something different about Leica, and it all started after my relationship ended with Canon. So after that relationship ended, I started to think about, okay, I want to get back to like me as a photographer. I want to get back to doing work that I'm interested in doing, and that would be personal projects. So I started my personal project, Kindred Guardians, where I document people around the world that dedicate their lives to helping and saving animals and wildlife. And I thought, like, I'm gonna start fresh. So I looked into different cameras, looked into what I wanted to use, and I did a lot of research, and I thought, like, oh, this Leica M10D was really interesting to me. Getting back to a Leica M system was interesting to me. I used to use the Leica M6 in the early days of my photography. So I thought this would be a great camera for me because it has like that analog feel to it, but I still like that it was digital because I'm not big into developing my images. I've never done that. Even when I shot film, I had someone else develop it. So that's not my jam at all. That's not what I like to do. So this is a great camera for me. So I was very intrigued by this camera. I went to Leica Singapore, asked to borrow it. They were really open right away. Like I kind of came to them, like they didn't know who I was, but they were open. They let me borrow the camera. I ended up buying the camera later on from Leica Vietnam. And I started writing about the camera and talking about the camera. Again, no one paid me, no one asked me. There wasn't any goal to be like, oh, I'm gonna get free stuff. My goal is just, I like talking about this stuff. I like sharing my experiences as a photographer to other people. I like having a dialogue about gear, about photography, about projects, and just about the craft in general. So as I grew deeper into the community with Leica, they started to recognize me, started to build a relationship. It happened slow, started to do a workshop here and there, a talk during COVID, another talk during COVID, another workshop after COVID here in Vietnam, photo talk and walk in Singapore. And I just started to build a relationship with them, and that just slowly evolved, and that sort of made me learn about their community and their brand a lot more. And again, I'm relatively a nobody to them. And I started to see their LFI magazine and online community and just got to know the people who work for them. And I just had like great discussions. We talked about photography, we talked about gear, talked about experience using gear, but really the conversations were all about photography. And people that work for them are well versed in the history and heritage of photography. And really at its core, it's a company that cares about telling stories with their photography. So I gravitated to that naturally, and I don't know, I just kind of like, I fell in love with the camera, I fell in love with the brand, and the relationship grew. They bought one of my pictures for a global ad campaign, the Witness campaign. They bought it for a couple years. They compensated me very well, and that's something I should bring up as well for a camera company that's not nearly as large as some of the other bigger ones. They compensate you in a very fair way. I never felt that way with Canon. I did all sorts of extra events. Always, can you do this event for free? Can we add this? Can we fly here and do that? Like, they didn't really value my time as a photographer. I can say that. Like, it might sound harsh, but they didn't. And I felt like Leica has. When they ask me to do something, we talk about compensation for it. And it's fair, and we have a discussion. It's a lot of stuff I've done has no compensation for all. That's just organic from me. I want to review this camera. Can I borrow it? Can I review it? Can I check it out? A lot of that's for me personally, but I also do it for you and for this channel as well. So, I don't know. I've just felt like there's an appreciation, not just for photography in general, but for photographers. And again, as I dove in and saw what they were doing for the amateur photography community with LFI for the little contest and how excited people are when they can win those contests and have a Leica master shot, I think that's really cool that they do that and support that. And when you go into their stores, they have galleries, they have images up, they have exhibition, they host events celebrating photography, both international and local. I have never seen that at Canon stores, at least here in Southeast Asia. Haven't seen that at Sony stores. I haven't seen many other camera brands do that at all. And correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure there are outliers of the things I'm talking about, but Leica stores everywhere I've gone, they have work up. They're celebrating photographers. They're celebrating their work. They're having exhibitions. They're teaching people about photography. They have their academy. And really, this all was solidified. I sort of knew all this already, but everything was solidified when I got an opportunity to go to the Leica COP event. That's their celebration of photography event, which they do every year. And in addition to taking the tour and seeing the craftsmanship that goes into making their lenses and cameras, which was, really interesting to see all the details, all the hard work. I love seeing that. But what was more impressive to me was what they're doing to promote photography, to really celebrate it. When you go to the Leica campus, you see images up everywhere. You see images by famous photographers everywhere. There's photography books in their stores. There's galleries up. They even have a celebration of some of the best photographs taken of all time. And they're quick to point out that not all those images were taken with a Leica. They don't care. What comes first is the appreciation for photography. I'm getting kind of fired up because that was really meaningful to me to see, like, it's not just Leica images up there. They, first and foremost, they cared about the impact that photography has had historically. And I just appreciated that. Again, all the details, all the craftsmanship, that stuff was important. But seeing their appreciation, seeing their heritage, seeing them celebrate photography, and then there's more than that. Also, they have their Oscar Barnack Award, which is incredible. I mean, the winner of that award is the best photography project for the year. They have all sorts of different people around the world they nominate. They have a jury that goes through all the images in detail. They spend so much time and effort going into this, and the winner is compensated very well. It's a 40,000 euro prize and an M camera. And they also have a newcomer award, which is a significant amount of money, and a Leica Q. So, I mean, they're not cheap when it comes to that stuff. And those award winners, the past winners, come and talk. So, like, it's like a family they're creating there, a community they're creating there. And then just being there at this event and seeing people from all over the world who not just love Leica, but really they just love photography. And there was no sort of hierarchy there by professionals or famous photographers. That was a really cool thing. They had different events, different tours, but everyone was like on the same level. Everyone was there to just talk about and appreciate and share their love for photography, not to share their love for Leica. That naturally happened, but that wasn't what was at its core. So that's why, in the end, I dated Canon and why I'd marry Leica because, or want to marry Leica. I don't know if they want to marry me. It's just that our core values are aligned. I really fell in love with that, and that was really solidified or came to fruition when I went to visit the Leica headquarters and I got to see sort of everything about who they are and what they stand for. And so I want to finish this video by saying no one asked me, again, to make this video. I have no ulterior motive here. I'm not here again to bash Canon. I just wanted to be honest. I like to be honest with you guys. I like to be unfiltered with you guys. That was my experience with Canon in this region. That was my experience with Canon a long time ago. Things might have changed. Other photographers might have different experiences. I'm just telling you the reality of my situation, what I dealt with. And I'm not trying to sell you on Leica. I could care less which camera you buy and how you spend your money. I understand Leicas are expensive. I understand that's not affordable for a lot of people. What camera you use doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is your appreciation and love for photography, and that's what I like to bond with you guys on. My channel, the same thing. It's not meant for Leica users only. It's not meant for Leica people. It's meant for anyone out there that appreciates photography, and that's what I like to talk about on my channel. So if you guys want to have a dialogue, ask me questions, you want to be angry and talk about the negative parts of Leica, I don't love that in the comment section. You can have your opinion, but don't be nasty. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let's have a dialogue in the comment section. I got a lot more videos coming soon. As you can see, I'm comfortable. I got my setup here. Don't forget to visit my online store at justinmott.com. I've got a variety of one-on-one classes to choose from. I got some presets that will not make you a better photographer, but they will add some pop to your images. And I've also got prints for sale with one click of a button that can be delivered to your door, available for the US and Canada with free shipping. And I also have global shipping available by special request. And if you really like me, you can consider joining my channel. It does help. In addition to helping, it's not just to help me out. You get exclusive content, you get early releases, you get a whole bunch of other benefits. It's $4.99 a month. Check that out by hitting the join button. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to have a wonderful day.